you feel about that?
Well, the Holocaust is mentioned twice in the movie by the journalist who says, I went into the camps, and do you remember the famous photo from the Warsaw Ghetto with the kid? And I said, yes, and said, this is what it reminded me. The second phrase is by the shrink, my friend Oy, who says, your obsession with the massacre didn't start with this massacre, it started with the Second World War, with the Holocaust, because of the history of your family and your parents. And of course, I've been traveling with the film for 8 months now, and everywhere I go, except Israel, I've been asked this question. And in Israel, nobody even thought about asking it. I tell you why. I think that for us, the Holocaust is deep in the DNA of the people. Whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not, it's there. Not just for me, where I come from a really extreme, hardcore Holocaust survival family, but for everyone. And I think that we see real footage, newsreels. It could be from Saba and Shatila. It could be from Bosnia. It could be from Rwanda. It doesn't really matter. For us, it will always spark immediately the memory of the past. And never in the history of Israel was there such an outrageous response and demonstrations like the day after the Saba and Shatila massacre, although Israeli troops didn't do it literally. And if you ask yourself why, I tell you only because of the Holocaust. Because right immediately after the massacre, people realized that something really wrong went on there with the support and the collaboration between the Israeli government and the Christian regime. They were our allies. I mean, they wore IDF uniforms. So, and those demonstrations, I mean, they were held just because people couldn't figure out how on earth us, with our history, could be related with an event like the massacre in Saba and Shatila. So for me, it was natural. And you know where, ironically, where the press and the public was obsessed with this comparison? In the German release. They couldn't understand it. And this is the main reason why it's the only territory that the film has been distributed that totally didn't work. Because they said, how could you? They, in the German. And nobody came to see the film.
Right now, at this moment, people are saying that about Israelis. At this moment, about what's going on in Gaza. I don't necessarily agree about it with those kinds of comments.
Yeah.
But that is what is being said right now. Throughout the world, people are comparing Israelis to Nazis. How?
Yeah, but you see, the film doesn't compare Israelis to Nazis. This is why I told you the whole story. It does not compare Israelis to Nazis. And of course, I wouldn't compare Israelis to Nazis because I don't think Israelis are Nazis. What people say all over the world is what they think. It's not what I think. It's not what the film declares.
Okay. This gentleman right there.
You're saying how, the film was about your process of remembering your self-reflection, your ability to remember these things. In the 8 months you've spent since the film has been completed, bouncing it off audiences and talking to others, have you brought more dimension into your memories?
Yes. Yes, I have. I must tell you that the 8 months I spent traveling with the film are much more difficult than the 4 years I spent making the film, which was great fun most of the time. Yes. For example, when I had this Sony Tour America thing with the film, 14 cities, 17 days, I read an article on a flight about this American soldier coming back from Iraq and I don't know where, Oklahoma, somewhere. And I read that it took him 6 days to come back home from the front. it was the first time for me to think that for us, for me for example, from the middle of the battle in Beirut, going back to my parents' home in Haifa, it took 20 minutes on a helicopter. Okay? So we were counting the dead and the wounded, and then there was an order, Folman, you can go home for 48 hours. We would go on a helicopter, and we would land in Rambam Hospital in Haifa, which is like near the center of town. And you know, people are having fun, smoking dope, listening to 80s music as if nothing happened. And I never thought about it while making the film, because if I would have, it would have been, of course, it would have been in the film. It's 20 minutes. It's unbelievable. And this is just one thing, and a lot of personal stuff as well.
So 4 years making the film, 8 months travel.
Yeah.
You're here tomorrow night, Golden Globes.
Yeah.
Monday night you're accepting Best Animated Feature from LA Film Critics Association. And then maybe next month you'll be back in Los Angeles. I mean, for the Academy Awards. Could you ever imagine the journey this?
Of course not. I can tell you that when Sony bought the film, they told me you would have to come over for the awards season. I didn't know what that meant. And now I see that there is like the NBA season, NFL season, award season, it's just the same. It's like every 2 days we have a game. We're competing with the same films since Cannes, same directors, once they win, once I win. It's like they're really obsessed with prizes. Every day there is a new guild. I wake up, there is a phone call from the Israeli radio. Congratulations, you won the Minnesota Guild of Pretty Brothers. Wow! So it's the hot season.
Well, you've deserved every one of those honors, and we appreciate you.